expected me to bring a funny story for my second one? Okay, this story is titled Stranger. The 10-year-old walked along the damp sidewalks, bullets of rain soaking him to the bone. Puddles exploded as the kid's feet stepped through the mud. Dave shivered in response to the cold wind. Stupid. That was what he called himself. He was stupid enough to forget his coat, and he was certainly stupid enough to miss the bus home. If he'd known it was going to rain at all, he would have brought the coat with him. Dave could tell his mother would have a fit once she found out how dirty his clothes were. Mud and grime coated his sneakers, and his jeans were soaked with water from the puddles he had been forced to wade through. The boy was focused on thoughts of home, of the feeling of warm water sliding down his back as he scrubbed the mud off his skin. As such, he barely saw the black van pull up next to him. The window rolled down to reveal a middle-aged man behind the wheel. His shaggy hair and stubble stood out as he eyed the boy. "Hey kid, you all right?" "What do you want?" Dave asked, his tone matching his anxiousness to get out of the rain. "I was wondering if you needed a ride home or something," the man hollered back, his voice muffled due to the storm. "This isn't the kind of weather you want to be walking in, trust me." With that, the man reached for the passenger door and opened it. "Hop in and I'll get you home safely." The child pondered the offer over. Can I trust this guy? I don't know who he is. Though Dave hesitated at the tempting offer, the shivers that racked his body seemed determined to make his choice for him. Already he found himself getting annoyed at the drops of rain pounding on his head. Well, it is quicker than spending half an hour walking home. The storm's getting worse. I could wind up lost if I keep walking out here. Mom's probably getting worried about me anyways. Dave turned back to the stranger, the boy's eyes conveying his answer. "Okay," he answered. With that, Dave hopped into the van and shut the door, grateful for the relief of the warm and dry interior. "Thanks, mister," the boy happily spoke. "No problem, kid," the man replied. He placed the van into gear and gently pressed on the accelerator. The van crawled forward, splashing through the puddles as it drove along the wet streets. "So where do you live, anyway?" the stranger asked, his eyes fixed on the road. "It's a few blocks from here," Dave directed. The stranger nodded his head, understanding, and turned his gray eyes back to the road. The boy, meanwhile, took in the scenery of the interior. Stray bits of trash lay strewn on the floor. Out of all the decorations, however, a couple of teddy bears on the dash caught Dave's eye the most. "What's with the bears?" Dave curiously asked. The man never took his eyes off the road as he replied, "Oh, those? They keep the kids calm." "Are you a dad?" He chuckled. "I guess you could say that." The casual reply caused the boy to shiver more than he had been while outside. The man's shabby appearance and his sudden willingness to help had already made Dave suspicious. Now, though, the child felt the cold run his fingers up and down his spine, and the plush bears ironically didn't do anything to soothe his fears. When his parents' familiar driveway finally appeared, Dave felt hope swell in his chest. The moment the man placed the van to park, the child wasted no time in unbuckling his seatbelt and reached for the door handle. Truth be told, he'd never been so anxious to get home so his mother could scold him. Dave was dead certain Mom would have a royal fit now. After all, the boy had lost count of the times she had warned him about listening to strangers, and he had just hopped out of a stranger's car. "Take care now, you hear?" the man called out as his passenger stepped down into the rain once more. "Thank you," the boy hollered back. Dave slammed the door shut and began the short jog to the front door. Aaron didn't start to back the van up until he saw the kid disappear into the house. At least he is home safe. Truth be told, it hadn't been difficult for the man to notice his young passenger's discomfort. Can't say I blame him. Maybe I should shave later tonight, that might help. As Aaron continued to cruise along the damp road, he couldn't help but drift his eyes to the two teddy bears sitting on the dash. He could feel tears well in his eyes, but he held them back. He hadn't been lying when he said he had kids. He'd only left out the part about what happened to them. Lucas, Emily, their laughter, their smiles, their joy filled Aaron's mind. He'd lost count of how many times he'd come home from work burnt out, but he found himself ignoring his own wishes to lie down at the sight of his kid's puppy dog eyes. He saw it in the way Lucas asked for help building a robot for his science competition, and the way Emily begged to be pushed on the swing. Of course, the stress got to him eventually. One day, he just couldn't keep his kids busy. There had been a carnival in town, and Aaron's mother had invited the kids to come along with her. From what Aaron knew, there had been a huge crowd that day. Aaron could still hear the phone's ringtone. Still sensed the panic in his mother's voice as she told him the kids had gone missing. That was the last time he saw them. The man could barely see through the windshield now, his vision blurred by his tears as much as the rain. Nevertheless, he could just barely make out the form of another unfortunate child lost in the storm. No, I can't let anyone see me like this. I'll stay strong. It's what my own kids would want. The man reached for a handkerchief in the cup holder, wiped his eyes as best he could before parking alongside the girl. I promise you both, I'll fight to keep every child in this neighborhood safe. No one else is going to suffer like you two did. But in the meantime, Aaron rolled down the window. "Hey there," he called out. "You need a ride?"